You're only half the man that I am, and I have half the brain that you do. Oh, Sid, what are you even like? I'm John Rentham with every Sid Vicious WWE and WCW pay-per-view match, ranked from worst to best, part 2. So, since I only have 14 matches left to talk about, this will not be nearly as long as part 1. Thank you to those who did check it out. If you haven't yet, please do so if and when you can. But thank you for the support. I really do appreciate it. Let's jump into it with number 14 versus Hogan at Mania 8. Should have been Savage versus Flair, not just because the title was on the line, but because that match would have been much better to close out the show. Now, it was cool that Sid's 2 Mania matches were both main events, but Sid had to kick out of the leg drop because Papa Shango didn't get the right cue, if you will, if you'll see what I did there. And because it was a giant stadium, having a man try to cover that, length of distance and not be seen and what the hell is going on? Yeah, he misses goddamn cue. Sid kicks out a leg drop, and then they do a big old DQ schmoz and everything. It's Hogan's last match. He's going to go to Hollywood until he comes back and ruins Mania 9. Holy fuck, did he ever ruin the goddamn company for about a fucking year after that? But anyway, then Ultimate Warrior makes his return. The guy that held Vince up for a whole bunch of money at SummerSlam 1991 and then got suspended and then left for a while and then feuded with Papa Shango after this and vomited up green soup. Hooray! 1992 WWE was really weird. Really fucking weird. Fuck the Ultimate Warrior, by the way. I'm glad he's dead. So we go to number 13 versus Benoit, U.S. title Fall Brawl 1999. Sid had an undefeated streak going. He was a Millennium Man. He won the U.S. title here, and he was going to go to battle Goldberg because Goldberg had an undefeated streak. They got torpedoed at Starrcade 98, and then everything was scorched earth by that point because, holy fucking shit, the Finger Book of Doom and a whole bunch of other bad decisions led to the ratings really tanking. That being said, good David versus Goliath match. Seriously, Benoit and Sid, had a really good series of matches. They really had some good chemistry. This was pretty damn good shit. They would have a better match a number of months later. I'll get to that. But this was pretty damn cool and showed how you compete for the U.S. title, make the workhorse title actually mean something. It's funny. The U.S. title and the TV title actually were seen as the workhorse titles in WCW. And for a period of years, both held that title very well. Or, honored that nickname pretty well. Pretty good stuff, though, for the U.S. title. Then we get to number 12 versus Sting, Road Wild 99. Okay, so let's be honest. Sting versus Sid has never been great. Even though there are a couple matches that they had that were ranked above this that weren't bad. But it was another good David versus Goliath match. Though Sting versus Vader was a lot better than Sting versus Sid. Sid was intimidating and had a great look and could work with the right person. But by this point, Sting wasn't motivated. Can't blame him. And Sid, they couldn't do as much as they did in years past. They also didn't have Barry Windham to come out as a fake Sting. I will get to that one later. That was a bit weird. But this, Road Wild 99, it was the last Road Wild. Because then they would do New Blood Rising and have Judy Bagwell on a forklift. Vince Russo's a goddamn idiot. This is before Vince Russo got to the company. It was also the last pay-per-view that Eric Bischoff was in full charge of. Because Fall Brawl 99 would have somebody, it would almost have a committee in charge of it. And then they bring Vince Russo in from Halloween Havoc on for a bit and all messy. Look, this match with Sting was fine. It was fine. It just wasn't great. And then we go to another match of Sting, at number 11, Halloween Havoc 1993. Bit weird, this. 1993 is a bit of a weird time for WCW because they were in a transition getting away from the NWA, the International Heavyweight Championship. Rick Rude and Ric Flair having some pretty good matches that I think didn't set the world on fire like they thought it would. But this was pretty good. It didn't quite match what they did in 1990. Because Sting, at this point, was seen as the franchise. Sid was still getting back into the swing of things and would not be with the company all that much longer because he would end up, doing the Arn Anderson scissoring incident, and that wouldn't work out all that well. So, match, though, pretty good in comparison to the rest of the card. If you check the rest of the card, this one actually stands out as at least they tried something. Now, I will say the finish was a little dodgy. The finish wasn't so good. It was just a roll-up. Most devastating maneuver in all professional wrestling. Number 10, with Ahmed and Shawn versus Camp Cornette, which was Vader, Owen, and Bulldog. In Your House 9, International Incident. It's ironic because Sid was in an international incident with the Arn Anderson scissoring thing a couple years prior. Okay, so Sid came in to replace Ultimate Warrior. And, it was good because at least Sid could work with some people as opposed to Ultimate Warrior, who didn't want to work with anybody and injured Bobby Heenan's neck. And I'm going to continue to rant on Ultimate Warrior when I can, even briefly, because I don't mind it. I don't really give a shit if it pisses people off. So, they were trying to position possibly Ahmed versus Shawn, Intercontinental Champion versus WWE Champion, but then Ahmed got, had, I believe, kidney issues or some kind of injury and had to be off for a bit. They brought Sid in to replace Warrior. Match was good. Vader would end up pinning Shawn, and we would go on to SummerSlam, where Vader probably should have beaten Shawn, but now Shawn had to be a little baby about it. So we go number 9 versus British Bulldog, SummerSlam 96. So Sid is wrestling British Bulldog, one of the guys he just faced off with at In Your House 9 International Incident. Not a bad match. Good power matchup. Sid was being positioned as a positioned, if you will. Boy, really had to shoehorn that one in. And he was, being positioned as an upper main event guy to possibly face Shawn at some point. Good stuff, though. I enjoyed what they did here. I thought that for, a match where Bulldog had just come off of a series of matches with Shawn Michaels, they were really good. I thought that I'm not going to say it was magical, but for a Power Man, match, it was pretty good. We then go to Fall Brawl 93, War Games. So he teamed up with Harlem Heat and somebody else. I forget who. They took on the Shockmaster, Dustin, Sting, and somebody else. I'm totally fucking forgetting. I apologize for that. Usually I have these facts down, and I think I retro-reviewed that, but it wasn't a very good War Games, and Shockmaster would end up getting the win with the bear hug and everything, and they made him a construction worker at this point because he tripped over his own goddamn feet, and it was so goddamn silly. It was fine. It was a good representation of Sid because at least Sid could do some good stuff in the ring. When Sid was in there, it wasn't all that bad, but just, yeah, overall, it's kind of slim pickings here for the best Sid matches because, again, intimidating look and everything, but he had to be in with the right guy to really have a great match. Like number 7 versus Shawn, WWE Championship Royal Rumble 97, because Shawn had to have his win back in a very papered Alamo Dome event. Not bad, not as great as their Survivor Series match, but still pretty good. Sid, got hit with the camera because he did that to Jose Lothario a couple months prior, and then would not become champion again. Oh, wait, they would do that when Shawn would lose his smile. So he didn't want to put over Brett. Yeah, he may have had a knee injury, and I'm not saying he didn't, but goddamn, couldn't work through it. Whatever. Anyway, the match with Shawn was pretty good, though. I still would have rather had the Rumble main event, but championship main event pay-per-view, even the Rumble, it makes sense. And at least Sid got the main event another pay-per-view. So we get to number 6, Royal Rumble 1992. So Sid just, propels Slaughter into the post and over the top and everything. A bump he'd been taking since the AWA days, and I think even in the Jim Crockett days. But he then eliminated, I believe, Piper and Savage. He then would eliminate Hogan, and then would get pulled over the top, and then Flair would win after dumping him out. And then Sid and Hogan would have their face-off. Hogan would do this, and they would boo, and he'd point the sign, Hulk-hoo! Hulk-hoo! It was a great, way to feature Sid. He wasn't in there long, but man, it was pretty damn cool to have him, dominate like he did. So and I've talked about Royal Rumble 92, so I'm going to move on to versus Sting, NWA title, Halloween Havoc 1990. They thought cutting Barry Windham's hair short so he'd look like Sting would work. It didn't work. Didn't work at all. It was goofy. The red carpeting and red ring mat was really goddamn goofy. Sid and Sting, though, had a pretty good match here. And then it was all dodgy because of that finish with Barry Windham. And then Sid was all celebrating, and then Sting showed back up, and the ref realized, hey, wait a second, that's Sting. Sting then covers him. Match, though, until that point, until they did all dodgy shit, actually was pretty goddamn good. We get to number 4, with Vader versus Sting and Davey Boy. Masters of the Powerbomb versus Sting and Davey Boy. Beach Blast, 1993. Beach Blast. Do. Pretty good. Actually, pretty good tag match. Power versus some Power. But Vader had, wrestled Davey Boy Smith at Slamboree 93. They were continuing that. And they did some good stuff here. Actually, now that I think about it, I think Vader might have been part of the War Games. I don't remember, though. But they did some pretty good action here. Pretty good tag matches. This is when tag team wrestling actually meant something. Not just in, mainstream wrestling, but just in general. It's really nice to see this. And I enjoyed this match for the most part. I'm not going to say it was a great event. I think Beach Blast 92 was better, but this was a pretty good tag match. We then go to number 3 with the Horsemen, Flair and Arn and Larry Zbyszko versus Sting, Steiners, and Pillman. War Games 91, most famous for Sid trying to do the powerbomb to Pillman and dropping him right on his goddamn head because of the roof. Match was decently bloody and pretty good action and everything, and it was cool to see Sid in a War Games match that wasn't such comedy bullshit. But man, dropping Pillman on his head, that was fucking brutal. Really, really fucking, really, really brutal. And then Elegante had to check out Pillman and see what was going on with him. And then they build the Sid versus Elegante in a stretcher match. Number 2 versus Benoit, vacant WCW title, sold out to Starrcade 2000, sold out 2000. Fucking terrific. One of the best matches that WCW put on in 2000. Seriously. Actually, it might have been the best. This was great. David Goliath stuff, that fucking chokeslam that Benoit bounced off of. Man, I mean, I'll tell you right now, you want to talk about two guys that, were just complete opposites. I mean, Sid, intimidating son of a bitch. Benoit, tremendous family man and oh, wait. These guys created some really good magic. They really did. I really enjoyed it. Of course, it was supposed to be Sid versus Brett, I believe. Actually, I think it was supposed to be Jarrett versus Brett, but Jarrett got injured. Brett got injured because, Goldberg just hit him with a mule kick because he's a careless twat. And so they had to have this for the vacant championship. Benoit would win, and then they would strip him of the title when he wouldn't stay because he didn't want to stay. He wanted to go radicalize WWE. If you'll see what I did there. This match, actually, though, I really did enjoy it. I thought it was fucking terrific. I could rewatch this match a lot. Yes, it's one of the few Benoit matches I could rewatch because Sid, just that intimidating stuff, pushing off and everything, and just sitting up. They really should have just given it to Sid. They really should have. Because he ended up having the longest reign in 2000 for WCW, despite the fact he only held it for like 60 days. Seriously, that's how much the title got tossed around. So, match with Benoit, though, pretty good. Number 1, though, versus Shawn, WWE Championship, Survivor Series 96. That female fan in the front of Shawn's crying because he lost. Yes, I drink your tears. It was goddamn awesome. It was fun. Oh, she's doing well. It was just funny. But yeah, the MSG crowd, just pro Sid like crazy. They just went nuts for him. They were booing Shawn because they were tired of the whole boyhood dream thing. And then the camera shot, to Jose, and Jose is like pretending to, have a heart attack. Thankfully Jose was okay after that spot. I mean, he did pass away a number of years later, but, he was old and he was a, good territorial legend. And it led to Shawn getting hit with the camera, powerbomb, 1, 2, 3. But just some of the stuff they did, they created so much magic. And Sid getting a pop for everything he did, fucking great. Sid's best match on pay-per-view, in my personal opinion. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Like, share, subscribe, Twitter handle in the description. I'm John Retlin. I'll see you soon.